Good evening again. Well, we have two more sections and then the Yuanwu book will be done. And tonight is Yuanwu number 11. But let's have a few minutes of bird time. They're actually an hour early. Can you believe it? I mean, I don't believe it. They're literally quite early. But they're not really roosting, I guess. They're doing that thing where they swim. Like I call it swimming, when they flock around. And they look like schools of fish. So I didn't get any watchers yet on my last video, so nobody's been able to vote yet on whether we do another book of the next book in the series of the Great Brain, or if I just move on to another Great Brain, to Hoy Swampland Flowers. I personally don't mind. I was thinking how great it is anyway to if we did Zen, which seems to largely be more you talking to you, whereas the book told from first person, a storybook, gives you a different part of your brain to work with. So switching back and forth sounds pretty cool to me. Okay, are we ready to go? Witnessing the Tao. This Tao is deep and remote, beyond time, before heaven and earth had taken shape, and sentient beings and Buddhas were separated. It was profoundly clear, solid and still, as the root of the myriad transformations. From the beginning it was never existent nor non-existent. It never fell into the dusty realm of the sensory objects. This Tao shines and glitters, and none can fathom its limits. It has no reality that can be considered real, and no wonder that can be considered wondrous. It is absolutely transcendent and lies beyond the scope of concepts and images. Oh, it didn't. There is nothing that can be used to compare it with. They're getting a little slow and rocky start. It was just a real busy day at work. Tired. Had a busy weekend. And I'm getting ready to travel next week. I think I'll make some videos with me and my grandchild, but not for the public, but for unlisted, so that my kids can have the video available. Anyway. Therefore, the perfected people witness it independently and come forth liberated. They are annihilated and totally cleansed, and they penetrate through to this primal source. By the power of expedient means, these perfected people bring it up directly in its pure form, to receive students of the highest potential without establishing any steps or stages. This is why their teaching is called the vehicle of the source and the special practice outside of doctrines. They seal qualified disciples with this one seal. In turning the key of transcendence, there is no room for hesitation in thought. In all the methods and gestures they use, the enlightened teachers leave behind the nests of cliché and theory and verbal sloganeering. They are like sparks struck from a stone, like flashes of lightning, instantaneous, swift. They produce thousands of changes and transformations without ever depending on anything. From top to bottom they cut through the net that traps people. They sanction only the outstanding students and disregard dullards. To be a legitimate Zen teacher, you must have the spirit to kill a person's false personality in the blink of an eye. Understanding one, you understand all. Illuminating one, you illuminate all. After that, you arrive at the far-seeing perception and lofty consciousness that comes from getting beyond birth and death and transcending ordinary life and entering into the bequest of the sages. You live in an ordinary way and do not reveal your sharp point. When you suddenly come forth free and at ease, you startle the multitude and move the crowd. In sum, your roots are deep and your stem is strong. You see that before the primordial Buddha and the other side of the empty eon are no different from your functioning here and now. Once your practice has power, you are able to bear the heavy responsibility of teaching the Dharma and achieving the far-reaching effects. You achieve great mastery. Then, compressing 3 aeons into a single moment and stretching out 7 days into a whole age is just a minor action. To say nothing of taking the galaxy and hurling it beyond space, or putting the polar mountain into a mustard seed. This is your everyday food and drink. In the past, there were many examples of enlightened laypeople who combined worldly achievement with profound mystic realization. It wasn't so hard. All they did was directly comprehend this one great cause. Once they had this Tao as their function. Once they had this Tao as their foundation, they were able to disregard other people's conventional judgments and mobilize their own courage and boldness. In interacting with people, they focused the eye of enlightenment and set in motion their quick potential and sharp wisdom, to turn all the myriad forms of being around back to their own grasp. Back into their own grasp. They rolled out and they rolled up. They released and they captured. Thus they are no different from all the people of great attainment down through the ages whose practice was pure and right. But you know what? The thing went out again. Some people would say, the spirits are angry. They kept taking out my fire blessing. I make a fire offering to you in the smoke and you'll not do it. You have to do it. You have to accept it. It has already gone out into the ether and it's not going to stop. I'm going to speak and you're going to do it. Okay? Cool. You ready? Oh yeah, I'm feeling goofy. Should I retake it? Nobody's gonna watch it. Don't matter to me. Alright, you got that. You gonna blow? You gonna do it? Stay lit. Yeah. Just make the transformation continue without break from source to source, and then you will be joyously alive person on the road of eternal life. The ancestral teacher said, mind turns following the myriad objects. If you can really reach the hidden depths of this turning and recognize true nature going along with the flow, then there is no joy and no sorrow. As soon as you can find the deep meaning in this transformation process, you will penetrate through the moving flow and see inherent true nature. When you move beyond duality and do not abide in the middle path, how can there still be any such things as adverse and favorable, sorrow and joy, or love and hate, to block your free functioning? To transmit mind by means of mind, to seal true nature with true nature, this is like water being poured into water, like trading gold for gold. Joyous, easy, ordinary, without contrived activity, without concerns. As you meet situations and circumstances, they are not worth a push. Are the direct teaching methods of the classic Zen masters so remote? Just do not let yourself be transformed by following your emotions. Get above form and ride upon sound. Transcend ancient and modern. Move quickly on the razor's edge amidst the multiplicity. Thus it is said, push open the passageway to transcendence, and all the thousand sages are downwind of you. Right in your own life. This thing is there with everyone right where they stand. But only if you have planted deep and strong roots in the past will you be able to have the strength in the midst of the worldly truth to be able to push entangling objects away. You must constantly step back from conventional perceptions and worldly entanglements and move along on your own and reflect with independent awareness. Cleanse and purify your karma of mind, body, and mouth. Sit upright, and investigate reality until you arrive at a subtle insight and clear liberation. Write in your own life. Detach from conditioned views and cut off sentiments. Stand like a wall mile high. Abandon the deep-seated conditioning and erroneous perception that has been with you since time without beginning. Smash the mountain of self to pieces. Dry up views based on craving, and directly take up the truth. The 10,000 stages cannot alter it, and the myriad forms cannot cover it or hide it. It lights up the heaven and the earth. The Buddhas and ancestral teachers pointed directly to this indestructible, inherent, true essence, which is wondrous, immaculate, and pure. Set your eyes on it, amidst the thousands of intricate complexities that are impossible to analyze. Apply your blade where the interlocking cross-currents cannot be split apart. Your potential operates prior to things, and your words go beyond the scope of concepts. You are free and unbound, pure and still. You turn independently, with your powerful functioning alive and liberated. You share the same attainment and the same functioning with all the outstanding adepts since antiquity who have achieved this realization. You're not different, not separate. Unoccupied and at ease, you just preserve stillness and silence and never show your sharp point. You seem like a simpleton, totally abandoned and relaxed, eating when hungry and drinking when thirsty, no different than usual. This is what's called secretly manifesting the great function and activating the great potential without startling the crowd. When you have done this for a long time and arrived at a stage where you are pure and ripe and at peace and genuine, is there any more old bric-a-brac like affliction and birth and death that can tie you down? Therefore, those among the ancients who are adept in the way and its powers directed people who had already freed themselves from sensory attachments to extend the esoteric seal. Hold on, I was having an itch, and so I lost my whole consciousness. Okay. Therefore, those among the ancients who were adept in the way and its powers directed people who had already freed themselves from sensory entanglements to extend the esoteric seal. You should spend 20 or 30 years doing dispassionate and tranquil meditation work, sweeping away any conditioned knowledge and interpretive understanding as soon as it arises, and not letting the traces of the sweeping itself remain either. Let go on that side, abandon your whole body, and go on rigorously correcting yourself until you attain great joyous life. The only fear is that in knowing about this strategy, the very act of knowing will lead to disaster. Only when you proceed like this will it be real and genuine practice. Haven't you heard all the Zen masters who emphatically praise the state where there is no conditioned mind? They really wanted future learners to proceed like this. If you make a display of your cleverness and verbal analysis and intellectual understanding, you're polluting the mind ground, and you will never be able to enter the stream of the way. Many people have tried to spin out rationalities to explain why Buddha held up the flower at Spirit Peak, and why Bodhidharma sat facing the wall at Shaolin, but they do not rely on the fundamental. They are far from realizing that searching for the meaning of mind-to-mind transmission through verbal categories and sound and form is like sticking your head into a bowl of glue. As for the outstanding type, they certainly do not act like this. They are able to delve into it with or on their own, and are sure to get the sense of the great and far-reaching acts of the classic teachers. They discover the real truth by engaging with it. That is why people of attainment do not even have any spare time to wipe their noses. But tell me, where are the ancestral teachers of Zen operating? It's evident that the unique transmission outside of doctrine was not a hurried undertaking. They looked to the void and traced its outline. Each and every one penetrated through from the heights to the depths and covered heaven and earth. They were like lions roaming at ease, sovereign and free. When they were empty and open, they really were empty and open. And when they were closed and continuous, they really were closed and continuous. Although it is just this one thing that we all stand on, ultimately you yourself must mobilize and focus your energy. Only then will you really receive the use of it. Go out again? Hey, it's a very, 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 very obstinate piece of thing. I had to yell at it. All right, entering the path. The subtle, wondrous path of the Buddhas and enlightened teachers is nowhere else but in the fundamental basis of each and every person. It is really not apart from the fundamentally pure, wondrously illuminated, uncontrived, unconcerned mind. If you have sincerely devoted yourself to it for a long time, yet are still not able to become really genuine, it is because you've been trying to approach it via your intellectual nature and its many machinations. You should simply make this mind empty and unoccupied, quiet, and still. If you continue in a state of profound stillness and harmony with reality as it is for a long time without changing or shifting, there is sure to come a day when you enjoy total peace and bliss. What you should worry about is that you will be unable to stop and will go on seeking outside of yourself with your intellect. Little do you realize that the real nature you inherently possess is hard and solid as a diamond, secure and everlasting. It is just a matter of never letting there be even a moment's interruption in your awareness of your real nature. If you put your conditioned intellect to rest for a long time, suddenly it will be like the bottom falling out of a bucket. Then you will naturally be happy and at peace. If you seek teachers and insist on memorizing a lot of their instructions, you're even further off. What you must do is use your bold basic nature and boldly cut off and abandon your conditioned mind. You are sure to experience the path and know it for yourself. After you know you've entered the path, you do not set up even this knowing. Then you arrive at last at the realm of true purity. The Inexhaustible Treasury. Devas, humans, and all sentient beings, including the enlightened ones, all depend on the awesome power of this thing. But, although ordinary sentient beings have this within them, they are in the dark about it, and so they become wrongly subject to sinking down into the cycle of birth and death and affliction. The enlightened ones, on the other hand, arrive at the awesome power of this thing, and thus experience transcendent realization. Though delusion and enlightenment differ, their underlying inconceivable reality is one and the same. That is why the Buddhas and ancestral teachers gave instructions and pointed directly to this reality. They always directed sentient beings to comprehend for themselves their own inherent, fundamental, perfect, wondrously illuminated, true mind, and to dispense with all the false thoughts and schemes and knowledge and views associated with sensory afflictions and troubles. Go directly to your personal existence. In the field of the 5 clusters of form, sensation, conception, motivational synthesis, and consciousness, turn the light around and reflect back. Your true nature is clear and still and as is. Empty through and accept it. When you clearly see this true nature is mind, and this mind is true nature. All activities, all the myriad changes and transformations in the sensory realm have never shaken it. That is why it's called the ever-abiding fundamental source. Ever-abiding fundamental source. If you reach this basic root, whatever you do in your empowered functioning, you will penetrate through. What is necessary is to cut off the flow of your conditioned mind and witness it. If you hesitate in thought, then you are out of touch. If a person's root nature has been pure and still and settled for a long time, it is very easy to be empowered. Just reflect back a bit and penetrate through, and then you can witness it and experience entry. Do y'all understand that? Because I had a little bit of trouble with that. You want to rewind it, or do you want me to read it again? If I had a Twitch account, I'd probably be able to get the answer to that question. But I don't, so I'm just going to go on. The ancients called this the Inexhaustible Treasury, and also the wish-granting jewel, and also the indestructible precious sword. You must have deep roots of faith and belief that this is not gotten from anyone else. Whether you are walking, standing, sitting, or lying down, concentrate your spirit and silently reflect. Be pure and naked, without interruptions and without breaks, so that naturally no subjective views arise. And you will merge with this true essence. Read a period where it didn't belong. Be pure and naked, without interruptions and without breaks, so that naturally no subjective views arise, and you will merge with this true essence. It is neither born nor destroyed, neither existent nor non-existent. It is neither solid nor empty. It is apart from name and forms. It is the scenery of your own fundamental ground, your own original face. When the ancients employed all of their hundreds and thousands and millions of expedient teaching devices, it was always to enable people to go toward this and penetrate through to freedom. As soon as you penetrate through, then you penetrate through deeply to the source. You cast aside the tile that was used to knock at the gate, the provisional means that were used to get you there. There's absolutely nothing occupying your feelings. Actually practice at this level for 20 or 30 years and cut off all verbal demonstrations and creeping vines and useless devices and states until you are set free from conditioned mind. This will be the place of peace and bliss where you stop and rest. Thus it is said, if you're stopping now, then stop. If you seek a time when you finish, there will never be a time when you finish. And I will probably be quite quick back so we can finish the book today.
Love yous. Bye. See you.